Alright guys, here is the practice exam for Algebra 1A. I'm going to go through everything and hopefully you guys will watch this video once or twice before you take this exam. I'm also going to divvy this packet into 2 videos because it's just too much to put all 8 pages on one video. And really I'd like you to get through the first 4 pages on the first day and the next 4 pages on the second. Here we go. So for these problems we're always doing the opposite here. So of course for this first one I would just minus 12 to both sides because again I'm trying to get the number away from the x. And I got x equals negative 3, done. Here the opposite of divide is to times both sides by that number. Those will cancel. 18 equals x. Right here again, I'm going to get rid of what's next to the variable, so I'm going to do the opposite of negative 4 to add it. And the opposite of multiplication, because a number next to a letter means multiply, is to divide. Oops. And those cancel, and I get x equals negative 4. And again, I'm using my calculator here. 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4. For the next few problems, well, they're a little bit different. Here you need to distribute first, and I get 2x minus 8 equals 3x. Those are not opposites. They do not cancel, so I can combine those, though. 2x minus 16 equals 3x. Now, what a lot of you want to do is add 16 both sides, and that's not necessarily wrong. It's just then you have to bring the 3x over. So why not save yourself a step and just minus this 2x from both sides, right? This negative 16 doesn't go anywhere. That minus sign stays. 3 minus 2 is just 1x. There's my answer. If I divide by 1, I still get that. So x equals negative 16. Okay. The next problem, you're going to, well, we can combine these two here. That's easy. Let's do that first. Now from there, to get rid of this, I can't minus the 3 first. I got to get rid of this divided by 2. So I times by 2. This is the only problem we have to do this. And I get 18, and then I can just minus 3 at the end. P equals 15. Here I got to distribute this negative 2 first, so I get 4y minus 2y minus 8 equals 22. I'm going to combine my like terms here. 2y minus 8 equals 22. And now we can do what everybody wants to do. Let's add the 8 first to get 2y equals 30, and then divide by 2 to get y equals 15 as my answer. You could go back and check any of these and it would work, I promise, because I already have. But by just replugging in 15, 4 times 15 minus 2 times 15 plus 4, and it would spit out 22, and you'd know you were right, just plugging it in a calculator, okay? All right, so now we're going to get to some problems where maybe we'll get some no solutions, some IMS, stuff like that. Let's see how that looks. This I distribute, I get 6x plus 4 equals 6x plus 6, and hopefully you can already see where this is going, but if I minus the 6x from both sides, they cancel on both sides and I get 4 equals 6, and that does not happen. 4 will never equal 6. No solution, okay? Or NS, that's what it's saying up here, okay? On this problem, again, I'm going to combine some like terms here. 8x minus 12 equals, and over here I can distribute and get 16x minus 20. The x's are not going to cancel here, although that's the first thing I'm going to attack is get rid of the x's to one side. 8x minus 20, and then once I've brought the x to one side, I got to bring the opposite of the number to the other side. All right, so I get 8 equals 8x, and I would just divide to get 1 equals x. So that has one solution, okay? Maybe I should write that. One solution, okay? All right, down here, distribute 3x minus 9 minus x equals, distribute 2x minus 2 minus 8. On this side, I'm going to combine those to get 2x minus 9. On this side, I'm going to combine those to get 2x minus 10. And this kind of is like this problem up here. When those numbers were the same and those numbers were not, no solution, which makes sense because, again, if I get rid of 2x, I get negative 9 equals negative 10, which is not true. So, again, no solution. Right here, I'm going to combine these. 4p equals 12 plus distribute 4p minus 12. Combine my like terms here. 12 and negative 12 will cancel. 4p equals 4p, which is always going to be true. But if I wanted to minus 4p from both sides, I would see that everything will cancel and 0 equals 0. When the numbers don't equal each other, no solution. When the numbers don't equal each other, no solution. When the numbers do equal each other, IMS. Okay? And when the numbers don't all go away and there's an x, well, that means there's one solution. Okay? All right, let's go to the next page. All right, so this is miles per hour. which means miles per hour. And it gives you the miles, and it gives you the hours, and you can just divide that. And in your calculator, 280 divided by 5 is 56 miles per hour. Okay. All right, for the next couple, I think that you guys are pretty good at these. X plus 4 is greater than -2, just making sure your arrow goes the right direction. G, the grade must be greater than, actually 60% or more. So it can be equal to or greater than, so greater than or equal to 60. Okay. We've got a few different ways you can answer this. Well, not this one actually. This is just x is greater than or equal to 0. That's flat out the only way. This one here you can answer two ways. You can answer it 0 less than x less than or equal to 4, with x being between those two variables and keeping the sign, or those two numbers, excuse me, keeping the signs. Or you can say x is greater than 0 and you have to have that word, x is less than or equal to 4. Okay, either one of those would be correct. This, there's really only one way, less than 2, or, because again they're not including it, here that is including everything, or x is greater than or equal to 4. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. On the next few problems, you're going to solve these and then graph them. So I'm going to times this by -2 because that's the opposite of dividing by -2 because these are together. And then I'll times this by -2 as well. Those will cancel x and I get 4. But when I times by a negative, I flip that sign right there. Okay. So I get x is greater than or equal to 4. I put a solid circle at 4 and its greater numbers are greater towards this way. Okay. Here I'm going to distribute, get 2y minus 6 plus y is less than 6. Combine my like terms to get 3y minus 6 is less than 6. Add 6, a couple of steps all at once here. And then divide by 3 to get y is less than 4. So I'm going to have an open circle at 4 and shaded less than, so this way. Right, it's pointing that way, just like that's pointing that way, as long as your variable's on the left side, which here kind of messes with us because we want to get rid of that k, and then divide, and I get -2 is less than k. I'm not going to switch because I did not divide by a negative, okay? But I'm going to rewrite this. I know I got to have an open circle at -2. And I need -2 to be less than all of the k. That might be easier if I just rewrite it. K, flip the sign, see how it opens the k, so I better open the k. It's pointing at -2. And now with the letter on the left side, I know that this arrow tells me which way to go, which is this way. I need k greater than that. Okay. All right, last problem on this page. After graduating from Holland High School, you get a job that pays $14 an hour. 14 an hour means 14x. Because if I ask you how much would you make after 5 hours, you go 14 times 5. After 10 hours, you go 14 times 10, and so on. And a number next to a letter means multiply. If you buy a car for this much money, you have to have at least that much money, right? You can't have less than that. You can have more than that. So that has to be greater than or equal to 5460. That is writing the inequality right there, okay? To solve it, well, we just divide both sides by 14. And you get 390, what we would call hours, right? You got to work over 390 hours, which, by the way, is about 10 weeks. And that's without taxes being taken away, and that's without spending any money on anything else. That's going to be pretty hard to do. You're probably going to have to double that by the time you do everything else, just saying. All right, let's go to the next page. A little depressing, I know. All right, so we've got number 22 here. We had a problem like 23 on the mini quiz, but 22 was the one where you just have to really, if you just label these points, this is 2, 1. This is -2, 3. This is -3, 2. And this is -3, -2. First of all, it's not a function because it goes through more than one point on a vertical line test, right? Whereas this one is okay. That one is. This is also linear. I don't think many people have a problem with that. This is non-linear because it doesn't have a line, okay? Or it doesn't make a line even if I connect the dots. The domain is just your x values. So all of my x values here, I've got -3. It kind of shows up twice. I don't have to write it twice. If I do, I wouldn't mark it wrong. -2 is an x value, and 2. Just the x values of the points. The range is just the y value of the points. I don't even really care if you write them in order, but I'm going to do it anyway. -2 is my lowest, then 1, then 2, than 3. And that's that, okay? This is the one where I said to put a box, but more specifically, if you just write these 2 points in, this is -3, -3. This right here is 1, 4. It is going from the lowest x to the highest x, from the lowest y to the highest y. So this is the one where we got to have these symbols in here. X for domain and range for y. And then just put the lowest to the highest. -3 to 1, -3 to 4. And that's it. That's how you do that. Okay? You could put a box and see what they go to. 1, -3, 4, -3. And that gives me those values the same way. Okay? To graph something that is linear function, all you need to do is make a line. So literally a straight line of any kind will work. I don't care what the y-intercept is, slope is, anything. It could be a straight line sideways or any kind of linear. It could even be straight up and down. Okay? A nonlinear function means that it can't be a line. So literally draw anything that's not a line. A square root or a squared, a square root, an exponential, any of those are nonlinear. Okay? Anything with a curve to it. Graph that is not a function means it can't pass the vertical line test. So this wouldn't be good, this wouldn't be good, none of those are good. You need something like this, right? Or something like a circle. A lot of people will draw stuff like that, okay? Or even just redrawing this problem right here because this was not a function. Okay? For the next few problems here, the slope is always that number next to x. So that's -2/3. And the y-intercept is always the number by itself, 0, 4. That is when it is in slope-intercept form, which these are. So similarly, the number next to x here is 1/2, and the other number is -3. I put 0, -3. If you just put 4 here and just put -3 here, that would be okay. Because that is where you start, right? You start at the y-intercept, at 4 on the y-intercept y, right? Then you use your slope. -2/3 means down 2 and right 3. We always say right. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3. Put a dot. You know what? That's good enough. Connect your dots. Okay? Same thing here. We start at -3 on the y-intercept y. And we use the slope up 1, right 2. Boom. I'm going to do it just again because I want to. And connect my dots. Good enough. Okay? For the last two problems based on slope, slope is y over x. This thing means y. This thing means y. So if we just tell the difference, this is +1, +1. This is +3, +3. And do the y over the x, well, I get a slope of 3, right? For this one, this is -4, -4, +2, +2. Again, the y change over the x change gives me -2 as my answer there. It is really that easy. Don't make it harder than what it is. You could plug that into the slope formula, the y2 minus y1 thing, but boy, is that easier. Okay. Next page, which I believe is the last page for this day. Yep, it is. All right, so let's look at the top here first. Hold on, I'm trying to find my own notes where I have this. There we go. Again, for this, we're just plugging it in. So I'm going to have -2, put it in parentheses, +2, and I get 4. I know 0 plus 2 is just 2, and then again, -2 plus 2 gives me 0. Plug them in, okay? So -2, 4, right here, 0, 2, and 2, 0, done. Okay. Right here, this could be so easy if you just do the cover-up method. You could -2x and then divide by -4 and then draw it from there and it would work out. For instance, like -4y equals -2x plus 8, like after I bring that over. After I divide by -4, I get y equals 1/2 x minus 2. But I wonder how many of you would make that mistake. Here it is, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. There's my x-intercept, my y-intercept. I can answer this problem. But this is so much easier if you just use the cover method. If I cover that up, yeah, now you can see it. And I solve that problem. I divide 8 by 2, and I get 4, right? So let me rewrite that over here. 2x equals 8. Over here, I'm going to write -4y equals 8, because when I cover that up, I just got to solve that. So here I divide by 2, I get x equals 4, which I just kind of proved, so 4, 0. Here I divide by -4, and I get y equals -2, which again I proved that as well. Right there, there's my x and y intercept. I've got my x and y intercept. I wouldn't even need that point. I would just need those two and be good to go. Okay. okay? The next problem actually asks what's the x-intercept. Look, it's right here. It's 2. Well, 2, 0. If you just wrote 2, I'd be okay with that. Same thing with the y. It's right here at negative 1, which is 0, negative 1. And the slope from here to here is up 1 over 2. So 1 over 2, rise over run. Okay. All right, next problem. This one seems to get you guys. It is not that hard. How large the tank is what we start at. It's the y-intercept. It's just 18 gallons. Okay. How many gallons are left after 3 hours? Well, look, H is hours, so this is just plugging it in, right? This is just negative 2 times 3 plus 18, which is 12 gallons. How many would it be? The tank be empty. That means that G will equal 0, right? There will be 0 gallons, so I have to put 0 in there. 0 equals negative 2H plus 18. To solve that again, I would minus 18 to both sides and divide by negative 2 to get 9 hours. And then how many gallons does this car use per hour? Well, that's always your slope. That's your rise over your run. Like that's your rate of change per hour. So it's just 2 gallons per hour. I don't care how you label it. Next few problems. Slope-intercept form again is y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So when it gives me the y-intercept and the slope, I can just plug it in. 0x minus 3 or just y equals negative 3. Either of those answers would be right. Here I had just y equals 3/4 x because again the slope goes next to x. And then plus 4 because the one with the 0 is always my y-intercept. That was that easy. Don't make that harder, please. Down here, slope-intercept form, we're still in y equals mx plus b. So our slope is our rise over the run. Let's find a point. There's 1, which I kind of need. That's negative 1. Right? I can write again, 0, negative 1. My y-intercept is, well, there. My slope, find another point. I don't want to use this. It's between lines. Between lines, that's on a corner. 1, 2, 3 up, and 1 over. 3 over 1. Is 3. Now I've got my y-intercept and my slope. Just like these problems, I can just finish it. 3x, because the slope goes next to x, minus 1 or plus negative 1, either way. Right here's my y-intercept at negative 2. Find another point, not there, right there. Down 1, right 3, so it's 1 over 3. It's going downhill, so it's negative. That's it. It's just negative 1/3. And there's my slope and my y-intercept to finish that part of the problem. Okay. All right, this is video for day 1 of this. I will have another video for day 2.